Welcome to Earth2 Comic Cast, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. It's your boy MoeCrosby. You're back on another episode of Earth2 Reviews. I'm going to be reviewing the movie Dunkirk for you guys today, so you know what? Sit back, relax, and as always,
Welcome to the planet.
yes. So everyone, you know, saw the movie or saw the trailers for the movie Dunkirk, and Christopher Nolan, writing and directing this story was like an attraction, was what made a lot of people want to see this. I know for a fact that that's what made me want to see this. I didn't necessarily know about the history of Dunkirk, so after I saw the trailers and heard about the movie, then I went back and read up on it, and it was pretty dark. It was a very gruesome movie, so it was a very gruesome story or a very gruesome time. So you would expect that they would bring that reality into the movie, and they did that. They showed how dark and how grim and how hard it was to survive, and from the people who did survive, and because again, this is not just a war movie. I don't even want to straight up call it a war movie because this is a survivalist movie. Like, these guys are trying to survive, trying to go home, because pretty much the basic story around Dunkirk is the enemy is trapped, the English soldiers on the beach. The French are holding off at a line, but then the enemy's sending aerial assaults to that beach. So they're trying to escape, but then on their destroyers, on the Navy destroyers, and the enemy's bombing them. So there's a lot going on or not going on for them. So it's really hard to just this is pretty much the story of Dunkirk. So you can imagine, if you were at the time on there trying to get home, how hard it would have been, and if you did survive, what your story would have been. But this movie does well to capture the survivalist element of it, and it does well to show you the story of perseverance, and just how sometimes like it's just really hard. And so I'll go ahead and give you my honest review for the movie. I don't want to try to talk too much about this, the actual story, so I'm just going to keep it based on the movie. The movie was pretty good. It was pretty good, but I will tell you this. I left the theater like, I'm not sure. I have to sit on this, I have to marinate on this, because I'll tell you this for sure, for a fact, it's a very beautiful movie. It's a very good looking movie, and you're sometimes you're watching this movie and you're just like lost in the scenery, lost in the scene, lost in what's going on, because a lot of things are going on, and you're just like, wow, this is really beautiful. Like, especially the aerial dog fights were beautiful. When you're sitting, when they're in the cockpit, you're literally sitting in the cockpit with them. So it's a very, very good looking movie. It was shot in IMAX, and you definitely want to see it in IMAX because it's really beautiful. So um I'm gonna do things like how I do them on Earth 2: story, characters, and again, I just talked visuals because that's one thing that this movie has. It's a lot of good looking visuals, and this movie just looks really good from start to finish. So you're not like, so yeah, at any point, there's no point in this movie where like, that didn't look so good. Everything, it's like what Nolan was doing was to take painstaking detail and say this has to look as specific as this like he was there, or he took the accounts from these guys, from the soldiers, and put it on the screen and made it look beautiful, even though it was dark, but it was beautiful. Everything was beautiful to look at. I'll just go ahead and talk about that right now. So I did the visual portion of it already. I'm gonna talk about the characters now. The characters were done pretty well. The characters you did care about, like even the even one of the generals, like, you actually cared about him at the end of the day, because he came off at first as an asshole, but you actually did, moving, at the end of the story, like, okay, this is he's a pretty good dude. He's a pretty okay dude. Now, our main characters, you were rooting for our main characters all day. I don't know anyone that I saw this movie with that was like, oh my god, I didn't want X, Y, and Z person to die, and you're just rooting for them. You want them to survive. You want them to make it. Do they make it? Do they not? You're gonna have to see this to find out. I'm not gonna tell you. So that's the thing. The characters were done really, really well. You cared about everyone in this movie. Like, you cared so hard for everyone in this movie that like I said, you wanted them to all survive. That's pretty much what you're gonna be doing. Is please, please make it. Please make it. Please make it. Like, even at the darkest, bleakest moments, you're like, nah, he has to. Like, this is what this that's how well these characters are done. They make you care about each and every one of them, and I thought that was really great. The story. Now, the story is where I feel like this movie may have had a problem or two, a glitch or two, because it's a good looking movie with great characters. The story may have been a little over ambitious in my point, and I'll tell you why. Now, when we're looking at the movie, and I'm not saying the story was bad, because the story wasn't bad. It's just, maybe, okay, let me try to reverse that. The story isn't bad. It's just the telling of it, the way it was told. Does that make sense? The storytelling, yeah. So when we get to we start the movie off with one perspective, it cuts to the dunes, then it cuts to London. And again, Dunkirk is literally across the English Channel, so that's the thing is, again, taking from the real story. That actual story is very good. The actual story the movie told was good, but the way it was telling it was, again, a little convoluted. Is what I'm. You know what? That's what I'm gonna say. It was a little convoluted. Like, I feel like it's gonna take me a second seeing of this movie before I come out and do a spoiler review. But yeah, it's something where you'd have to see maybe once, maybe more than once. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But it was it starts with, again, the story starts with the kid, on the beach trying to get home. Then you cut to London, where the Navy has requisitioned, like yachts and boats to go get these people from the beach. And you're thinking to yourself, again, this is pretty bad. It's horrible, because why are they sending boats that can't fight? Like, that's just horrible. It's just horrible to think of. But Churchill at the time, again, like, he was a bastard. That's all I'm gonna say. He was a bastard, and so he did that to them. Um, so these guys are, so there's that kid and his story. Then there's this. So in one of the boat stories, there's one family per se who's on the boat, and they're trying to get to Dunkirk, and a kid. Their kids, and two kids and a granddad. That story was beautiful. The kid story was beautiful. The only story that I didn't really care for, even though I did care about the characters, but I didn't care for the story itself, was the fighter pilots. Now, what they did with the fighter pilots was beautiful. Everything, you're sitting in the cockpit with them, you're seeing everything they're seeing, was beautiful. Now, to me, because of the way this story is told, because there are a lot of jumps. So you're watching the kid, then they jump to this, to the boat, then they jump to the air, and all of that. You're watching all of that, and then, like, so imagine this: three linear stories are being told, but the way everything is told is, okay, the kid sees one, and let's call the kid story one, the boat story two, and then the air story three. The kids is one, so he's going through one, and then they jump to three, and then from three they jump to two, and then from two they jump back to three, and then three they jump back to one. But all the stories are pretty much the same, because everyone is seeing the same thing, but it's all three different perspectives. And the reason I said that is, if you're not paying attention, because this movie calls on you to pay great attention. If you're not paying attention, you're going to miss some things. This is why I said, again, you might have to see it a couple times. But did that ultimately ruin the movie for me? No. Like I said, I didn't care too much for that air, the fighter pilot's story. Seeing the action of that was beautiful, but the story itself was something I didn't care too much for. But again, it didn't ultimately ruin the movie. It's a very, very strong story. Just told it, told the way it was told. Maybe to me didn't mesh really well, but it was a pretty good movie all in all. And I will recommend everyone that I'm talking to that's watching this video to go see it and come up with their own opinion. So that's my review for Dunkirk. Um, I will I see it again? Probably, so I could fully immerse myself in it and understand, what's going on, and try to pay more attention now that I've seen it the first time. So I'm going to definitely pay more attention in it the second time. It's beautiful. It's good looking. It's great characters because you cared for them. Yeah, yeah. Dunkirk in a nutshell was a pretty good movie. I suggest you guys go see it. Um, I'm also holding off my grade for Dunkirk. So if you guys want to know, comment down and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what it is and why. Or you can come on the podcast and I'll tell you what it is and why. Um, Down in the comment section, let me know if you're gonna go see this. Let me know what you're expecting from this. I tried not to spoil anything, so please let me know if I did ruin it for you. Don't be hateful in the comments, because I know there's some people who just hear Christopher Nolan and don't think he can make a mistake. Check out Earth 2 on social media, because there's going to be a lot coming within, because Comic Con is coming up. Like, it's only a day away. So, yes, it's going to be a lot coming up. We have friends in Comic Con. We're going to be doing our first live show on Earth 2 on Saturday. So, please come back here to, to check for that. Also, it's Earth 2 on social media is Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Earth2 Comic Cast with the number 2. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, please do that. Give this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been your boy MoeCrosby. Thank you for watching my review for Dunkirk. Keep watching, keep reading, and go for your own